Yo, what's good on the web? This is your man Q back again, and it's been far too long since we talked anything RPG or a list like this. 2022 has been a huge year. Matter of fact, one of the biggest years I've seen in recent history when it comes to not only games, but especially those RPGs, those JRPGs, those time sinks. So I wanted to devise a list since I've been gone, basically, for what role-playing games since the beginning of the year that you should and you need to be playing. Pokemon Arceus released on January 28th and ushered in the beginning of this hectic JRPG year. Arceus is the Pokemon game that we all wanted. It's what we were hoping that Sword and Shield would be. The game takes place in an entirely new region, and you, the main protagonist, newly minted member of the Survey Corps, are tasked with uncovering all of its mysteries and filling up your Pokedex of over 242 Pokemon. The game is definitely a breath of fresh air compared to the same stale, tried and true copy, cut and paste Pokemon games that we've been getting since 1997. Unlike the other Switch Pokemon games that dropped not too long ago, catching Pokemon in Arceus feels much more organic. Like, this is how it's supposed to feel when catching pocket monsters. Stealth, tactics, and a whole lot of luck. Even though its sales aren't to the same level as Sword and Shield or even Diamond and Pearl, which that can be expected. Those are the staple Pokemon formulas, and y'all know, like I know, you can't go around messing with the tried and true Pokemon formulas. Folks start to get ignorant. Word on the web is the Arceus formula could be standard of Pokemons going forward. Arceus is a Pokemon game, so you know it's exclusively for the Switch, unless Nintendo decides to start doing something for the... No, Nintendo ain't gonna do that. Strange is an understatement. Stranger of Paradise is just that, strange. From the start to almost the end of the game, I found myself scratching my head and then quickly cheering because I finally had beat some boss that was kicking my ass for I don't know how long. I'm just trying to relax and get my game on. Stranger of Paradise is, believe it or not, the origin story of Final Fantasy, all beefed up and modernized for today's gaming taste. I know a lot of folk would prefer an ATB, an active time battle, but I personally think that Team Ninja and Koei Tecmo did a pretty good job with the game. The game is fast-paced and action-packed while having more than a few traditional RPG elements, and keeping to the Final Fantasy lore, like the ability to change job classes, level them up, and even create sub-job classes like the White Mage and the Dark Mage after reaching a certain skill level as a mage. The game has a unique items and weapons system, which I won't go too much into because it's best tried on your own. It's not that it's a bad thing, it's just there's a lot to do. And when you're trying to play a game to completion before the second wave of JRPGs drop, I don't have time to be out here dismantling and forging and dismantling and equipping new items and skills and abilities all the time. Since this is a Final Fantasy origin story, you know, like I know, it's revolving around the 4 crystals: Earth, Wind, Water, and Fire. Jack, the main protagonist, along with his other fellow crystal bearers, are prophesied to be the warriors of light, the group who will rid the world of chaos and the darkness he's cast over the world. The game is weird and has more than a few head-scratching moments, which I already alluded to, but it has some really solid moments too. So if you're a Final Fantasy fan, have about 20 hours to spare, and don't mind a little button mashing, definitely check out Stranger of Paradise. The game dropped in the beginning of the year, but kind of flew under the radar since this is a heavy year for games. Stranger of Paradise is on PlayStation 4, 5, PC, and
Xbox.
I guess this game's okay, but PlayStation is going to keep all the numbered Final Fantasy exclusive, huh? Okay. I can't speak too personally since I chose to log them grown man hours over on another game that's on this list. Other than a few glitches in the Matrix, I've heard nothing but good things about the game. Those who like it, love it. And everybody else, well, they get banished to the Shadow Realm.
Open your mind!
Along with a massive open world that expands far as the eye can't see, the graphics are amazing. Even for folks like me who don't mind seeing nice visuals, but who focus and care more about story and characters. Not to say Elden Ring ain't got story and characters, relax. In fact, from what I've seen and heard, it's actually the opposite. Elden Ring has a pretty good looking character creator. And believe it or not, the black character features, they aren't ass butter. Thank you, Bandai Namco. So it's not heard of to have more than
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7
character builds. And speaking of builds, the game is already getting the Skyrim treatment and it just dropped this year. So if you can think it, somebody already modded it. As for the story, I told y'all, I don't know yet, so don't spoil it for me. This is going to be my first Souls game. It just so happened to hit right around the time where like 2 or other 3 JRPGs dropped that I kind of consider to be higher on the list than this. I'm gonna get around to it when it hits a sale or after I beat Xenoblade 3. That takes priority. I'm pretty confident too that this is going to be the 2022 game of the year. So if you a Souls fan, you probably already played it. But if you haven't and or new to the series, like action RPGs with a little extra pepper, this is definitely the game for you. Just be prepared for a time sink. I haven't seen nobody log in less than 100 hours unless they're doing a speed run. And even the folks who did a speed run beat the game at a regular pace before they got to the speed run. Elden Ring dropped for PlayStation 4, 5, PC, and all the X's. Triangle Strategy released on March 4th, and it's crazy that I just beat it a few weeks ago. Out of all of the games here on the list, Triangle Strategy is the one I put the most time into. And now y'all see why I couldn't play Elden Ring. If you're a fan of a Game of Thrones and strategy games, then this is the game for you. Matter of fact, stop the video, go grab the game. Wait, no, actually, don't stop the video. YouTube don't like that. But definitely, if you like Game of Thrones and strategy, pick this game up. Triangle Strategy is, like the title says, a 3-way game of choices, dictated by the scales of conviction. Each choice you make in the game not only alters where the story goes, but also the characters that you can recruit for your army. There's 30 playable characters that you can recruit, and each has their own story, skills, and playstyle. Can't tell you how many times I thought a character was trash, put them out there on the field, and they showed up and showed out. Changed my whole opinion about them. This is Square Enix's second title using the HD 2D graphics, the first being Octopath Traveler, and both games look incredible. But the heart and soul of Triangle Strategy is not within the graphics, but more into the gameplay. Like with all strategy RPGs, you operate on a grid and have a set amount of moves and spaces that you can travel. Couple that with the addition of specialty character buffs, items, abilities, weapons, all add an extra dynamic to the game. Triangle Strategy is at base about a 40-hour game, but you can easily, as you just seen, pass 100+ hours, so be warned. The game actually made me do multiple playthroughs so I could try out every character, how they played, and how their story impacted the overall story. Triangle Strategy dropped exclusively for the Nintendo Switch for now, but don't be surprised if probably by the end of the year we hear rumblings or rumors that it's going to be out for Steam soon. Bravely Default and Octopath are already on Steam and PC. Chrono Cross the Radical Dreamers Remastered Edition dropped a month and some change ago on April 7th. The self-proclaimed sequel to Chrono Trigger. Seriously, who's still calling it the Chrono Trigger 2? Please. I take offense to calling Chrono Cross Chrono Trigger 2 because Trigger is my all-time favorite game, and Cross, which is not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. I can't even talk. By any stretch of the imagination, it's just not Trigger. And speaking of Chrono Trigger, Square Enix, where is it? If you already have it, have to play Chrono Trigger before you play Cross. I mean, I personally recommend it, but unless you don't mind 16-bit graphics, which in my opinion it still holds up to this day, Cross might be the better Chrono for you right now. Set in the same world as Trigger, just on another part of the world, Cross stars yet another silent protagonist, Surge, who very early on in the game, I mean super early on in the game, gets transported to another world where he's dead. Surge then gathers a ragtag group of 40 characters, to go out and seek the truth about the two worlds, his mysterious death in another world, and how everything meshes up. The game looks good for a 1999 remaster. Comparing the PlayStation version to the ones nowadays, you can obviously see a difference. Unlike Trigger, Cross goes back to the standard ATB system that focuses on breaks and attack percentages. Can be like, what's the point of this battle system in the beginning? If you played some JRPGs in the past, it might not take too long to get the grasp of the battle system. Along with more fleshed out graphics, Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers Edition also has a redefined original soundtrack. Other than the switch to switch between older graphics and fonts, and the ability to slow down, stop, and rewind like all the other Square Enix remasters, there's no other battle options. There's no other new functions or features. That's pretty much it. I was really hoping for just a couple of story tweaks that, you know, at least would allow me to nab all 40 characters on one playthrough. And for those of y'all who played Chrono Cross, you know what two characters I'm talking about. There is the graphic novel game Radical Dreamers that is included for the first time legally here in the States. The story is only about 6 hours if you go straight through with one ending. It follows the end events of Trigger leading up to Cross. So if you've played both but didn't get a chance to play, or rather read, Radical Dreamers, then now's definitely the time. Digital version of Chrono Cross is only about $20. Which for a game like Chrono Cross is a steal. I mean, I'd easily pay more than that for the OST. It's one of the best in the business. To this day! Still, no word since last I checked for a physical copy in the States, but for about $40, you can go over on Play Asia and order you one. I was so tempted. I actually had it, the physical copy for the Switch, in my cart on Play Asia. I looked over at my stand and was like, don't buy that. You already have the original PlayStation 1 version. Chrono Cross is one of those must-play PlayStation JRPGs, and even during this day, rivaled the behemoth, which is Final Fantasy IX. You can find Chrono Cross pretty much almost where any games are played. The Switch, PlayStation 4, PC, Steam, damn. But interweb, that's all I have for you today. But before I go, and since I know I've been gone for a long while, I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss some of the games that you should be role-playing over the last 6 months. So here is a list of some honorable mentions. And as always, interweb, this has been your man Q, your friendly neighborhood geek. If you did like this video, do me a favor, hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel and you want to stay up to date with all things games and all things RPGs, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm back making weekly geekly content, so stay tuned. And if you feel so inclined, you can check me out streaming over on the Twitch box. Links are all in the description below. And as always, interweb, remember to eat, sleep, geek, repeat. I'll holler at you later. Peace.